There's no Kingston Municipal Corporation.
No, exactly. There is one municipality for both. And in Jamaica, in Portmore, and St. Catherine, we have a different arrangement that works for us.
Okay.
Nothing is awkward about it. It's different.
Fitz,
it's different to serve a different purpose.
Fitz, I put the question to you and you answer. You that's what you do. I didn't say it behind your back. I put it straight to you and you answered it. So yeah, that's just what it is. I think the people have gotten a great understanding based on what Wheatley has said and what you have said. And now it's up to them to make up their minds. But you are saying you take no option off the table in terms of the avenues through which you are prepared to go to ensure that this does not happen. Am I hearing you correctly?
I personally, as one of the members of parliament who was there with the people, I have a duty along with my party to protect the democratic gains of
Hear you on that. We're out of time. Hear you on that. Wanted you to get that in. Hear you on that. Thank you for your time this evening. Fitz Jackson, the member of parliament for South St. Catherine and the PNP spokesman on matters concerning Portmore. You haven't heard the last of this. Yeah, this is going all the way. Fitz Jackson says it's not happening. Good evening.
From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at noon for Wednesday, January 28, 2025. I'm Ramon Gordon. Thank you so much for joining us. One of St. Catherine's most wanted men, Caron Killared's hacker, was captured in a targeted operation this morning. Police also seized a high-power rifle. More details, of course, to follow. Now, the government is set to name the first 40 roads under its $45 billion Spark program next week. At a post-cabinet press briefing Wednesday, Works Minister Robert Morgan said the road project has been brewing for months.
By next week, we'll be announcing 40 roads, which will begin immediately all across the island for Spark. And the month after that, we'll be announcing another 30 roads. That's 70. And then the month after that, we'll be announcing another 30 roads. That's 100. So by the end of the financial year, we would have started 100 roads across.
The minister dismissed claims that the project had stalled, explaining that detailed planning was needed to avoid wasting tax dollars.
There are some roads that require land acquisition. There are some roads that require extensive pipe works. There are some roads that require realignment. We are not going to be wasting taxpayers' money.
The announcement comes amid a flurry of ongoing road rehabilitation projects, including the $3 billion REACH Road Program and the $2 billion Emergency Road Rehabilitation Program. On the controversial Barbican Road repairs, Minister Morgan clarified that the works were not a government expenditure, but rather a contractual obligation of the original developer.
So those who are saying, why them dig up Barbican? The government did not dig up Barbican. It did not cost the government $1. It was the contractor who had an obligation to correct what they built, which had flaws.
And turning to the largest bridge in Jamaica, that's the Montego Bay River Bridge, the minister revealed that the project is now 90% complete. The bridge now forms part or key part of the Montego Bay Perimeter Road project, which is 55% complete, with an expected finish date in 2026. The government's accelerated bridge development program is also gaining momentum, with 55 bridges island-wide set for rehabilitation and repair.
40% of Jamaica's population live in rural areas and are served by roads and bridges that have been in service for over a century. Many persons have been extremely excited at the possibility that one of the bridges in their community will be a part of it.
A bill to make Portmore Jamaica's 15th parish was tabled on Tuesday, drawing mixed reactions. Speaking on CVM's lead story with George Davis, chairman of the Joint Select Committee on Portmore's patriarchal status, Dr. Andrew Wheatley, says the move will empower residents and their representatives.
As it now stands, a number of communities, such as Caribbean State, for example, even though they vote for a council that sits in the municipality of Portmore, they cannot seek any form of redress or any form of assistance through the Portmore Municipal Corporation. They have to go all the way back to St. Catherine. And so what we have been doing here is not anything that is just purely political. It is a commitment that was given.
Yes.
We are honoring that commitment, and we are also giving the people of Portmore full autonomy. We are giving them more control over their resources and giving them also an opportunity to determine their own future and not be a part of St. Catherine.
Meanwhile, opposition spokesperson on Portmore Affairs, Fitz Jackson, has accused the Holness administration of attempting to manipulate St. Catherine's constituency boundaries for political advantage.
This proposal for the 15th parish has nothing to do with the improvement of governance for the people of Portmore and that area, nor to provide any material or social benefit to the residents. Why do I say that? When we had a Joint Select Committee of Parliament and all the agencies, National Security, Justice, Water Commission, JPS, JCF, all the entities that appeared before the committee, all except none, said upon becoming a parish, it will not affect the dispensing of services that they provide, because they provide services not on parish basis, but on community needs and the resources that they have available to them to meet those demands. Nothing at all that will be brought about to improve the lives of people of Portmore. What will it do? It will help to create a JLP stronghold constituency.
And Jamaica, like many other Caribbean nations, continues to battle non-communicable diseases, including a rise in cardiovascular illnesses. Chair of the National Committee on NCDs, Professor Trevor Ferguson, shares the latest data.
We note that the diseases of the heart and blood vessels, which are referred to in the medical literature as cardiovascular diseases, are the major causes of death in Jamaica, the Caribbean, and actually globally. We have data from the Ministry of Health and Wellness which showed that in 2020 there were 6,825 deaths from cardiovascular diseases, and this accounted for 32% of all deaths and 41% of deaths from non-communicable diseases. Data from the Jamaica Health and Lifestyle Survey indicates that there were 9,000 persons living with a history of previous heart attack in 2017, and additionally 25,000 persons with a history of stroke. Also, there were 9,000 persons living with a diagnosis of heart failure.
Jamaica's tourism sector is set for a significant boost, with new European flights launching this year. The move aims to increase arrivals and strengthen the industry. Here's more from Shante McNeil.
Jamaica is rolling out the welcome mat for thousands of European travelers in 2025 with new flights from Switzerland's Edelweiss, Portugal's World to Fly, and Germany's TUI Group. Starting in June and November, these flights will connect the island to new markets. Starting in June and November, these flights will connect the island to new markets, boosting tourism and deepening Jamaica's ties with Europe, according to Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett. The minister led a delegation to the 45th International Tourism Fair, one of the world's leading travel and tourism trade shows. His senior advisor and strategist, Delano Seavright, shares details of the new flights and routes.
We will have Edelweiss, which is a major Swiss airline they will move from 1 flight per week to 2 flights per week between Zurich, Switzerland, and Montego Bay, Jamaica, starting later on this year. They're using their Airbus A340 aircraft, which has 314 seats. And this is a huge achievement for us, as it will mean more Swiss tourists traveling to Jamaica, but also more tourists from Europe generally.
Seavright also says demand for the new Portugal to Jamaica flights is already soaring and tickets are expected to sell out quickly.
Those flights start in June, a once-weekly service using an A350, Airbus A350 aircraft with 432 seats. That'll be a once-per-week flight between Lisbon, Portugal, and Montego Bay, Jamaica, starting June and continuing on into around September. And already that flight those services are over 50% sold. And they expect that by the end of March, the flights will be completely sold out.
Meantime, the minister notes with these new partnerships, Jamaica's tourism sector is well on its way to hitting its bold targets. Those being welcoming 5 million visitors and US $5 billion in earnings, solidifying the island's status as a top-tier global destination. Shante McNeil, CVM News.
With online banking fraud still a major concern, the National Commercial Bank has introduced a new feature allowing customers to block their card with a single tap. The NCB's Chief Security Officer
misplaced it, or you suspect that there are unauthorized transactions taking place. What this will do, this feature, will allow you to enforce the block.
CVM News at Noon continues in a moment.
What do these people know that you don't know? They understand how listing on the Jamaica Stock Exchange can improve the profitability of their company. They know the potential for increasing the company's capital, the governance requirements, the tax responsibilities, the ownership implications, and the procedures for listing. They have the knowledge to make an informed decision on whether or not to go public. Knowledge is power. If you don't know, you can't act. Begin a conversation with the Jamaica Stock Exchange to gain the information you need to make a decision.
I'm Stafford Burrows.
I'm Marilyn Burrows.
My name is Hugh Graham.
I'm John Mahfood.
My name is Derek Cottrell, and we are listed on the Jamaica Junior Stock Exchange.
Give us a call today at 876-967-3271 to begin your transformation through conversation. We want to see your company listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Have you seen any of these signs and are ready to buy land or property? Want to know who is the legal owner? Purchase a copy of the title using eLand Jamaica. With eLand Jamaica, you can do a title search and verify the owner of the property, ensuring they have the legal right to sell it. For more information, contact the National Land Agency at www.nla.gov.jm, via telephone at 876-750-5263 or 876-946-5263. Email asknla@nla.gov.jm or message us on WhatsApp at 876-418-5089. The National Land Agency. One agency, one goal, to serve you better.
Need to pass your CSEC CAPE exams to get that dream job or to qualify for university? Then Distinction College is the school for you. We have locations in Kingston, Spanish Town, St. Elizabeth and Ocho Rios. Start day, evening and Saturday classes this coming term and sit CSEC CAPE exams for January's resit or May, June. Maths, law, science, English. We have the lowest school fees. Register before the end of the month and win an entire term free. Call us at 354-8560.
Welcome back. It's time for our discussion segment. Concerns are growing over the upkeep of public beaches across the island. In Hanover, one public beach has been left abandoned with debris piling up along its shores. Joining us to discuss the state of our beaches and what can be done to improve not just maintenance but access is Dr. Devon Taylor, founding member of the Jamaica Beach Birthright Environmental Movement, JABEM. Sir, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
To start our conversation, how widespread would you say is the issue of poorly maintained public beaches across Jamaica?
Well, it's a very widespread problem, but I think what we need to look at first is that Jamaicans don't even have rights to their beaches under the Beach Control Act of 1956. The government does not empower the Jamaican people, and this is very shameful and very oppressive. But under that same act, the government responsibility under Section 18, Part D and E, is to maintain sanitary and cleanliness along the coastline, and lands that adjoins the coastline. So it's pretty much a failure in the Jamaican government to execute its responsibility. And we could trace the problem. We could trace this problem. The problem, start its origin in 1980, when a massive divestment program happened, when, the parish councils and local communities' rights were gutted, when funding was removed from these communities, removed from parish council, who then were managing and maintaining beaches across the island. And all of these beaches were rolled up in a company called the Recreational Development Corporation.
I see.
And the sole purpose of that was to divest and sell all these beaches off. So it was poor management and, a push towards a capitalism product that would push these beaches away from communities.
Doc, you've preempted a conversation I'd love to have about access to our local beaches. I read some articles and the figures I saw, they're quite grim. For our audience, please, describe for us what obtains currently.
Well, Jamaicans, Jamaica is 494 miles around. And according to NEPA, and this data is from like 2001, we only have 2.8 miles of access. That translates into, pretty much, under percent, that we have access to. And the access that we have is by permission. And I just want to state very clearly, the law basically gives us no right in our foreshores. So we must change that law to make sure that Jamaicans have general and unfettered rights of access. We do not have the general right to access our beaches and to use the sea under this law.
Doc,
and it must be changed.
What has been the general response to your advocacy? Because, like you said, this is a conversation we've certainly been having for years. So, to the policymakers and the lawmakers, what has their response been to your advocacy for, well, solidifying in law Jamaicans' right to beaches? Jamaicans' right to beaches, that is.
Well, the government is saying that they're going to change the law. They're going to table a bill. We have yet to see that bill tabled. We've seen both in the recent local government election, both in the manifesto of the GLP and that of the PMP as well, that they're going to do something about it. They can do something about it right now, okay? They could table a bill and they could make sure Jamaicans have fundamental rights, but they're not doing so. And currently we have 4 cases in the Jamaican courts that we are fighting for the prescriptive rights of Jamaicans to 4 beaches across the country. And we could have easily had 20 prescriptive rights cases in the court around Jamaica, where people are really been losing their beaches. And because Jamaicans do not have the rights to the lands, is a massive lands rights issue. We do not have rights to land, to cross over land to get to the beaches. That is fundamental part of the problem. And the government have the tools to put into trust beach lands and give Jamaicans fundamental rights to access these lands and to access their beaches. So the current government is mum and is not really, living up to its responsibility to its people, to empower its people by changing the law so we have those fundamental rights of access. Instead, our access is by permission.
Certainly. Tell me about immediate impact, because certainly these beaches are part of larger, local ecosystems, yes? There are persons who rely on the beaches, not only for leisure, but for an income. Tell me those stories you're hearing. I'm pretty sure you've represented some of those interests.
Absolutely. Now, this is we have it. We are seeing both an economic injustice and environmental injustice. You know, we have a community right now in the Blue Lagoon, right? The Blue Lagoon Alliance. They were shut down over 2 years ago, using this ecosystem space, you know, to earn a living. They can no longer do that. In 2 years, they can no longer, access the lagoon for their economic means. They're rafting, while, you know, private owners who are in the lagoon can continue their business. The folks at Little Duns River, their livelihood has been threatened. They can only go to Little Duns River 2 days out of 7 days. And there's a real economic community there where people are really struggling to make ends meet, because 2 days not enough for them to earn a living for them and their families. We can see the same thing in Bob Marley Beach that is threatened. When you look in Miami Bay, an entire fishing community and vendors was displaced from that beach, and that was a registered beach under fisheries in Jamaica.